anything from 80 points to 100 points is considered specialty grade coffee. Now, that's the kind of the line of coffees that anyone within our industry would be purchasing. And I'm talking about like smaller roaster retailers.
Welcome back to another episode of the Peak Performance Life podcast. Today, I'm very excited to have a conversation with someone that came very highly recommended to me, someone that previously had the same coach that I've currently been using, and said, hey, you got to talk to Paul. Paul's an amazing guy. He's done an incredible job of balancing health while building a tremendous business. He is the co-founder of Birch Coffee. They've opened up over a dozen locations now in different parts of the world, started in New York City, where the majority of their locations are, my old stomping grounds. So, and Paul is really incredible in many different ways in terms of he's been sober for a long time, and he's kind of channeled that energy into being a great father, being a great husband, building this incredible business, and really being a leader that, kind of gives back and helps develop people in his organization as well, and also homeschools his kids while doing all this and building this amazing business. So, Paul, real pleasure to have you on here today.
Thanks, Laura. That is such a kind introduction. My goodness. Makes me feel fantastic. I think I'm going to have to hit this every day just to get that dopamine fix. That's fantastic. Thank you so much.
Yeah, man. Well, you deserve it. So let's kind of jump right into it. Let's give people a little bit of a background of tell people a little bit about who you are.
Yeah. Well, I am shooting way back. I grew up in a small what was then a farm town in Chaska, Minnesota, and I grew up there, lived there into my 20s, and then from there, my then wife and I moved to New York City, where I was interested in pursuing a career in the performing arts originally. Getting into the American Musical and Dramatic Academy out here in New York City, and went through that and had a really positive experience, going to school and learning about, all that's entailed in being a performer, and then getting to the audition part, realizing I have no interest whatsoever in doing this, like at all. And it was interesting because there was always this piece of me that was always calling to starting my own business. And I remember my grandfather had founded a couple companies as a younger person. And I just always kind of looked at that as like a light to follow, and something that I had always, wanted for myself, felt like I could do. So I, stopped the musical theater. I kind of went through some personal things around that time as well. With my daughter's mother, we separated. I got sober, and a whole lot of things kind of began to shift in my life right around that time of sobriety. And from there, I kind of went back to jobs that I've been most familiar with, kind of as a young person, which was working in restaurants. Loved working in restaurants, loved hospitality, felt very compelled kind of in that field. And then through sober meetings, I met my business partner, and he was working on kind of developed a friendship with him. And he was working on a project for a coffee shop. And Talora, how when you're a kid and you want to go, you have a friend that's going to the beach, and you think, I'd like to go to the beach today. And so you ask your friend, can I go with you to the beach? Well, I did that with Jeremy, and I said, hey, you're starting a coffee shop? I'd like to be a part of that. Would you like me to join you? He pretty quickly said no. And we I'd kind of like to let that go and just kind of, that fine, no problem. Some time later, we'll say months later, we were reconnected at a, dinner, whatever we were doing. And I, asked how the coffee shop project was going. And he said, well, working on it. So well, could you use some assistance on that? And he said, sure. Why don't you look up this equipment? And I remember I called my then girlfriend. This was probably in 2007. Now I called my then girlfriend at the time, who's now my wife, and I said, "Hey, I'm going to start a business with Jeremy." This was again all off of, "Hey, can you look up some equipment?" That was all that was said, and I decided I am going to do this thing, and that was it. We opened our first store in 2009, and it's been quite an adventure, to say the least, over the last almost 15 years of doing this. So yeah.
Amazing. Amazing. Yeah. And
Yeah.
you guys have opened up multiple locations. You mentioned you just got back from Seoul,
Yeah.
Korea, opening up a location over there. That's incredible. And let's talk a little bit about, because I know that you really enjoy actually building up a team and building up other people, investing in other people. Tell us a little bit about kind of what you're doing there.
Yeah. Um, I appreciate the question, Delor. It's when we first were opening our stores. Neither Jeremy or I, came from any kind of like leadership background. I mean, maybe we had done management style roles in other restaurants with things that we had done, but never to the extent of where we needed to actually, people were reliant on us for their paychecks, which came with a whole new gravity of I guess pressure that we neither of us really uh, knew was coming. And so for me, ensuring that we had individuals that were, the right people for our teams, that would fit in, learning their personalities, learning their strengths and liabilities, and helping to build them to really dial in to their strengths became something that I never really sought out to want to be proficient in, but it's something that I've just over time have really loved to be uh, to develop, and seeing how we're able to hire someone, bring them through our onboarding process, and then take them from having maybe some experience in coffee and really understanding the nuances of our process, and not just that, but how to deal with or how to speak to individuals coming through our doors when we're having hundreds of people, hundreds of different interactions every day, and learning how to stay as positive as we can through those interactions has been really a wonderful challenge for myself and for Jeremy as well.
Yeah, yeah. New York City customers are a bunch of tough cookies. You gotta gotta know how to handle them, and obviously still keep a smile on your face and hopefully their face as well. So yeah,
Yeah, I
sounds
mean it's
great.
yep.
Let's kind of talk about some of the things you're doing related to health. I know you mentioned like when you got sober, and this is a great thing for many people that they could think of as well, right? Like, a lot of people who may be drinking a lot or who may, kind of using other ways to sedate themselves essentially. And you kind of then took a turn and channeled that energy a lot towards fitness and health, right?
Yeah, I mean, and not, it wasn't very much by my own choice at first, but it was getting sober was a challenging thing. And the stopping drinking part was, I guess, probably the easiest part of that. It was all of the things that came after the stopping drinking, of just dealing with my life, that
Mm.
were where the real challenges lay. and being able to take that energy where I was just trying to, numb myself out, or just like kind of just put a fog over pain and frustration and all those things, and take that same pain and frustration and kind of physicalize that, for me, um, has become, I don't want to be hyperbolic and say like a secret weapon, but that's it's for me. It's very much my bedrock now for how I get my entire days going. Like, it is, mornings for me now are coffee, meditation, and then the gym, and that's it. And it is when I don't have those things in place in the morning, it feels like a bit of a shaky day. And for me, I found specifically like strength training was was really impactful, because there's something about holding load and holding that weight on your body, and pushing yourself through it, and kind of going through those cycles over weeks and months, and continually improving, continually pushing, doing that, where you are able to, and my experience, that all of those, for me, those negatives really flip into something that's positive, that I am able to, see, physicalized.
Yeah. Yeah. Tell me about what's your morning meditation like?
So I don't know what, I would love to know what member number I was. I was an extremely early adopter to Headspace, like very, like it had just launched, and it came across a platform, and I fell in love with this, with something that was not dogmatic in any kind of capacity, and that I could sit with from anywhere. I mean, I had wanted to do meditation from the second that I got sober. I was like, I'm going to meditate. I'm going to learn all these practices. I want to, dive in. So I explored the sea of Buddhism and everything that was in there. I know that you had done the Kabbalah practices. I had gone through, did Kabbalah 1 and 2, like that. I was looking for all of these different paths of ways to like really dial into myself. And when Headspace first launched, I love that it had, and this, I'm not promoting, like I'm not trying to be like this
Oh no,
promotion thing
please talk
for
about what
Headspace.
works. A lot of people struggle, including myself sometimes. But a lot of people, they're like, oh, meditation, I can't get into it. I can't just sit there or something. So I think it's very helpful.
Yeah, yeah. Talor, for me, it was the ability, it was that tracker, the weekly, like keeping that tracker going. And it sounds so, I mean, I say it out loud, it sounds so trivial, but being able to see, like, I have a streak, I'm doing it every day, like, look at me go, like that. It was just that reinforcement to myself of I'm doing this, and no one else is aware, because I don't share it, I don't make it public or anything like that. I
Yeah,
just
because
it
you
was
can do
just,
that with Headspace too, right? You can share it
you
with your
can.
friends, and then kind
Yep.
of compete with your friends for who meditates
100%.
more. Yeah.
Yep. And I made a decision kind of early on that I was like, this is for me. This is just strictly for me to improve me. And I can't speak to the rewiring that happens in your brain. I'm not one to speak to that. What I can speak to is that, anecdotally, the person that I was prior to meditating every day to now is a different person. And my response time on things, when something triggering comes up, how I respond to that thing is vastly different now than it was, you know 12 years ago when I started doing this. And
Mm.
it's been a absolutely one of the things that is most necessary for my daily practice.
Yeah, I mean, that's huge. And I think it's probably one of the most underlooked aspects of health is
Mm,
how are you reacting to certain things?
mm,
Are you getting angry and frustrated over little things, right? Are you, really taking things personally? How are you responding? How are you reacting to things? There's a lot of people who think that a lot of sicknesses and diseases and things like that come from emotional aspects, and learning how to really be calm and through meditation or silent practices or however you do it, but learning how to not be reactive. And again, we actually just had David Guillaume on one of the recent podcasts as well from the Kabbalah Center.
Yeah.
That's something that's personally helped me as well, be less reactive, right? Because especially, I mean, I grew up in New York City as well, and it was just kind of like very, very aggressive, like
Yeah.
so it was great. It's been great for me, and I think it's really incredible that the more you can learn how to react, not be reactive, relax yourself, stay calm in situations, not take things personal. It's really can have a huge impact on obviously your mental and emotional health, but also on your physical health.
Yeah. And it's funny that you mentioned that, like that. I was imagining, when you're walking off the subway and someone like walks right in front of you, and it's just like that gut instinct is like, how how dare you, person, walk in front of me on the train. And it's again, I know this sounds so simple, but it's those moments which can cause disruption within your day, that when you have those moments back, it becomes less disruptive. And I'm not saying by any means it's perfect. It is far from a perfect practice for me, but having at least being able to, even if I become reactive in a situation, knowing I can pull back from that and I can repair, right? Like I said, we're always going to have that kind of rupture and repair, and being able to kind of sit with that and do that work, personally has very much been a gift. And I attribute all of that going back to sobriety first. Like without
Mm.
that, no, I don't believe any of these other things happen.
Yeah, yeah. I think a lot of people, right? They get aggravated, they get stressed, then they're just like, I just want to go to the bar or whatever, right? I got to have a drink or something.
Yeah.
So yeah, it makes
And
a
I
lot of
certainly don't
sense.
blame people. I certainly don't
Sure.
blame people for that, because life is so hard. It is so hard. And, going back to my old parents, kind of, how they would speak is like, we didn't get a playbook for this thing. And none of us do. And I think that as we age and grow older, I think it becomes incumbent upon us to start having to do the work, right? And for me, part of doing that work was the sobriety piece. And then within that, knowing that I have children and others that are looking to me and seeing my reactions and everything that I do around my children, around my wife, like that's a green light. I'm giving a green light that whatever that action is, that's an okay thing to do, positive or negative. And so I have to be just that much more mindful of those things that I do.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. One cool thing I've been doing is kind of like when those moments come up of like the person that walks in front of you and goes super super slow, or the car in the parking lot, at the gym that won't move and you can't get around them, and you're just, it's like I kind of just start recently I've been just laughing, about it. Either, obviously if I'm in front of the person I'll laugh in my head, but otherwise I'll just laugh, and it's like this is a test. I'm being tested right now. I have to pass this test,
Absolutely.
and if I react, then I failed the test. So yeah, that's a lot of fun. Talk about a little bit your family life, because I know you've done a great job balancing there, and you've homeschooled your kids, right, this whole time.
Yeah, and I'll give full credit to my wife Kara for that. She's been incredible through that. Now I have a daughter, my daughter Emma, who's 25. She's in LA, and she got to see the other side of dad prior to sobriety and all that, and so she had a really a different experience than Wes or Ava, my younger two, did. And so it's you know kind of building and forging that relationship has been again another blessing of sobriety. I feel like we're turning this into a sobriety chat today, but this because that's what we're doing. But looking at her relationship with her brother and sister has been a real gift. And as for the balancing, it's something when Jeremy and I started Birch, that I had a really a deep conversation with Jeremy about having a family, knowing that he and I have we have he doesn't have a family, doesn't have a partner, And so we have pretty different lives when it comes to that. And so I think something that was important for he and I was to have conversations of like, well, this is the path that I'm taking, and these are things that I'm prioritizing within my life, and I will work, within our agreement together to do these things. And it hasn't been without its challenges, but it has definitely, I believe, strengthened our business relationship as well. And with regards to homeschooling, Kara and I Kara came up homeschooled. She grew up in Southwest Missouri, and she was always homeschooled. And we really appreciate homeschooling the way that we've chosen to do it because of our ability to allow our children to focus on areas that they love. As an example, my daughter Ava, who's 12, she is a ferocious reader, and is currently reading at a college, a freshman in college level, and she's 12, right? And that is not our doing. Like we didn't push her in this direction, but she loves this, and she's able to really dig into these things that are passion for her. At the same time, our son Wes, who's much more mathematically minded, science minded, he has drive to want to be an engineer. He digs into those areas, and he's finding himself to be really successful in those areas. And by allowing and giving them space to learn and grow within these kind of different practices that they each enjoy, has been, I think, a great benefit for us. And again, this was our decision, and this is not something we recommend at all for others, because it is extraordinarily hard. And it is, I mean, it's really hard to do well. But we believe that with the two of them, they've had a lot of space to learn and grow and develop. And we have still simple things that they need to do within learning social studies and basic things, that expectations of how we want them to learn. But for the most part, they have a lot of space to dig into areas that excite them.
I love that. Yeah, I really love that. And you mentioned about you and your wife's happy hour that you do these days that doesn't involve drinking. What is that about?
So thank you for bringing that up, Talar. This is actually it actually is probably one of my favorite parts of the day now. So Kara and I, when we take Wes and Ava to martial arts in the early evening, we take them, drop them off, and then her and I go to our gym for sauna and cold plunge. And that's been going on since, I guess, last October, so just over a year, or almost a year. And it has, I mean, that has been a game changer for my recovery. And I want to, like, I wear a Whoop, and what I've noticed is when I started doing the sauna and cold plunges, my recoveries went from anywhere from like 50 to 60% a day, maintaining kind of the same kind of sleep pattern that I had. And I was constantly in 70, 80, 70, 80 every day as I was doing this. It was shocking to me, like the change up to my body and how well it recovered from doing these kind of new practices, what an impact it's made. So it is our happy hour, because it's our time when we completely turn off from everything. Obviously we don't have our phones, and it's just the two of us able to like have 45 minutes with just each other connecting, and just kind of catching up on the day and going through, things that were positive or things that we want to work on. It's become a pretty treasured part of my day.
That's amazing. I haven't heard of actually anyone else really quantifying the hot and cold, the cold plunge and hot and the hot cold contrast that you're doing.
Yeah.
I haven't heard of anyone who actually said, yeah, my recovery has significantly improved, and it's measurable, through my Whoop device. That's
Yep.
really awesome. What is the exact hot cold practice that you do? Like how many minutes and back and forth?
So we do 15 minutes in the sauna, and then just a cool rinse after that, and then immediately into the cold plunge. The cold plunge that we go into is around 49 degrees, and we do 5 minutes in that, and we're doing that at least 5 days a week.
Amazing. Yeah, I
Yeah.
like that. Someone just recently, I was just at a mastermind, and this guy bought his cold plunge, and I don't know, I guess it was a competition to see how cold people could go, and he got it down to like 37, 36 degrees, and I was like, this is just not, I like the 47, 49, and I think you get similar benefits without
Yeah.
really putting your body into fight or flight mode at the 36, 37. So yeah, I'm after trying it, and 2 minutes was like super intense for me. I definitely I think 47, 49 is a much better temperature, and 5 minutes is kind of the perfect time, I'd say, too. So that
Yeah.
sounds amazing.
Yeah. No, it has been for sure.
Nice, nice. Well, what's the future looking like for you, man? What you're growing Birch Coffee. You guys are opening
Yeah.
locations. If anyone's obviously, shout out where are your locations if people are nearby. Obviously, New York
Oof.
City, you got a bunch, right?
Yep. So, yep. Birchcoffee.com gives all the locations. We're opening. We just opened one in the Fulton Center so it's on Fulton Street, in the train station there. Just opened there, and then we're opening one in Court Square in Queens in about 5 weeks. So yeah, really exciting stuff there. And then looking to begin the acceleration part of our business after having done this since 2009. Jeremy and I are starting to go out, and we're in the process of our first fundraise, and going to be looking to accelerate our business now for the first time, which is really exciting.
Nice, nice. And you're also, I know, a the equivalent of like a wine sommelier. You're a Q grader when it comes to coffee, I believe. So tell us
Yeah.
a little bit about what that means and how you use that at Birch. I'm sure a lot of people don't know behind the scenes what coffee is even being used. How do you know what's a good or bad coffee?
Yeah, I mean that's a great question. So being a Q grader it is, for me, it was. I think some people within our industry look at it as a diploma, and I've kind of seen it much more as kind of a stepping stone to bettering my understanding within coffee. The coffee part of our business is something that I have. I don't want to say it came easy to me, but I get it. Like the roasting, all of that, like that is stuff that it has made sense to me along the way. And so when I found out that we could source our own green coffee, I wanted to fully take that on. And so I believe that getting the Q certification kind of helped, I guess, give me a bit more credibility within our industry as to that I understand and know what I'm talking about. So what I'm able to do is I'm able to score green coffee and give it a grade. You can think of it like how you would grade wine. So we have a scale out of 100, and anything from 80 points to 100 points is considered specialty grade coffee. Now that's the kind of the line of coffees that anyone within our industry would be purchasing. And I'm talking about like smaller roaster retailers. To get a bit more granular, I'm looking at coffees that are only 85 points and above. You can think of it like, I hate to use liquor, but I'm going to for my analogy. You can think of it as like top shelf, right? Everything is top shelf. There's nothing that we're purchasing that is below the very best of this category. And in doing so, it allows us to really showcase and highlight coffees from regions that are really exquisite. And a huge blessing that I've had in my life is being able to start sourcing coffee directly. And so going to origin and spending time there throughout the year, and building relationships with producers and purchasing coffees, directly from them.
Nice. And what are some of the things? Well, first of all, I'm curious, what is like a Starbucks use? Do you have any idea what kind of grades and things like that?
I have an idea. I don't want to say it.
Got it.
But we'll say that at Birch we're definitely purchasing a higher grade. We'll say that, and we'll just kind of leave it there for
right. Gotcha.
for the conversation.
Yeah. And what are some of the things? I'm just curious from my own knowledge too. So, like, what makes a very highly scored coffee bean compared to a very low score?
Yeah. So a lot of it has to do with the conditions of where the coffee is being grown, right? And also the type of coffee that it is. So have you heard the types of coffee like Arabica or Robusta?
I've just heard that Arabica is usually the more premium one, right?
Yep. So
Yep.
You got it. So Arabica so you have essentially like two different like species of coffee. So Arabica and Robusta. Robusta, it grows very plentiful. Can grow at lower elevations under much more kind of tough conditions, and it still grows and grows and grows, and it readily produces every year. The issue with Robusta is that it's a lower quality coffee, and the taste is not quite the same as Arabica. Arabica needs higher elevation to grow it. It's a bit more challenging to grow, but this quality of coffee here it's a cut above, and this is the coffee that we score and purchase is Arabica. And then within Arabica, you can think of it like apples. So, you have like Granny Smith, Fuji, and so on and so forth, Honeycrisp. So coffee has different varieties as well. And those varieties have different flavors and smells to them when you're roasting them. And so that is how you can kind of tailor the sensory experience that you want to have with that coffee. And there are specific regions around the world that will grow different Arabica varietals better than others. And so we're sourcing specifically those varietal types from those different regions.
Nice. Amazing.
Yeah.
Sounds great, man. Well, this has been amazing. I love connecting with other entrepreneurs who are also, prioritizing their health, prioritizing their family, their well-being, investing in not only in their companies, but in the people within their companies and helping them grow. So this has just been a real pleasure for me. Shout out the website again for anyone.
Yep. It's birchcoffee.com. And we do, you can purchase coffee there as well. So it's kind of a one-stop shop.
Amazing. Well, again, thanks for being on, Paul. This has been a real pleasure, and hope we could do it again sometime. Yeah,
Taylor, thanks so much. This has been a real pleasure for me as well.
Awesome. Talk to you soon. Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed the episode, can you please leave us a rating or review and subscribe? I've realized that while we have actually increased our downloads a lot, we're actually getting a lot of downloads, which I'm really happy about. We actually have very few ratings. And I realized that I've never asked people really to rate much. So I'm asking you now if you could please rate and review and subscribe. And if you enjoyed the episode, please forward it along to anyone that you think will get value out of this. Also, if you haven't checked out our line of products at buypeakperformance.com, you get 20% off your first order. That's www.buypeakperformance.com. We have some incredible products, including our organic high-altitude coffee. If you don't know this, coffee is one of the most heavily sprayed with pesticides out of any crop. So it's really important that you drink organic coffee. We've gone above and beyond to source what we believe is the highest quality and healthiest organic coffee in the world. We're also famous for our organic green superfood powder. You can get 20% off of that as well at buypeakperformance.com. We also have an organic, vegan, and paleo plant protein. See, most of the vegan proteins out there are using brown rice protein, which is really not a good source of protein, and it's also a grain. And if you're paleo, you know that grains tend to cause inflammation in some cases for some people. And so we wanted to make one that was paleo friendly and vegan and organic. We made an amazing amino acid profile, so it's really one of the best plant proteins for muscle building. So you can check out Peak Performance Organic Plant Protein. You can find that on our website. Of course, all our products are on Amazon as well. So thanks again. And again, please, if you enjoyed the episode, please forward it along to someone who you feel can get value out of it. And please leave us a rating, review, and subscribe. Thank you.